Don't forget you're going to share. Hello, everybody. I know we're a little early, but if you would go ahead and share um, while we get everything set up. And I am going to share as well.
Mm-mm. Oh, there we go.
If I can find it. It's coming up. Hope y'all have had a great day. Hope y'all are being safe. It's been raining here all day long. But you know what? We're still alive and we're still kicking and we're still doing our things. So we're thankful. If I can find the broadcast myself. Okay, I got it. Um, and I think I'm going to go on Sonya Riley Cruel and have a party. I'm going to give you all a few more minutes, and then we're going to go ahead and get started.
So, Sonia, I'm not seeing it.
You're not seeing it?
No.
Can you go out and come back in and see if you see it?
Oh.
Uh, you want me to tag you?
No, I just shared it. So you just want me to hit share now?
Yeah, you see it?
I got it. I just did.
Yes! Come on, Tanya would be so happy. So proud of you.
I'm sure she's watching.
Hey, Tanya. Now I got to find mine on here. Hello, Tavis. How are you? Thank you so much for being on tonight. If you would go ahead and share us. Um, my niece is trying to get me set up, so you know how it is. Um, we're going to get started. If this is a great conversation, I'm excited about the conversation tonight. Um, oh, we have 6 people already on. Come on, come on. This is going to be fantastic. So, I would ask you to go ahead and share. I am so excited about who I have with me tonight. It's amazing how we met, and then we reconnected at an amazing time again. Daphne Latimore is on with me tonight. She is a woman of great knowledge about starting your own business, about doing your own thing. She's going to tell her story, of course. And of course, I'm going to have comments and questions and want to make sure that you don't forget to type in your questions so that I can ask her, because I do not know, but she does know. Thank you, Yami, for sharing. I really, really appreciate it. So, if make sure you allow StreamYard access on your Facebook. We're using a different platform tonight, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Daphne, if you would. Huh? Oh, I didn't tell you who I am. My name is Sonya Cruel, and I am a licensed clinical social worker and also the transitional coach. I help people move from then to now to next, and I do everything related to transition. Whether you're transitioning from one job to the next, whether someone in your family has passed away and you don't know how to move forward, whether you are dealing with you were single, now you're married, and you just don't know what in the world to do next. I can help you with that. Whether you're going through a divorce, all of that is about transition. Your child going from the 8th grade to the 9th grade, or going from high school to college. That's all about transition, and I help people navigate that in their lives. So that's what I do. My day job is social work. So it all works in together. So I'm so excited tonight to have Daphne, and I want Daphne to tell us who she is, tell us about her business, and how we can get in touch with her before we get started with the questionings.
Well,
Miss Daphne.
Sonya, thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm Daphne Latimore. I am the managing partner of DB Latimore Professional Services Group. We are a human resources management firm that specializes in talent development in helping individuals, organizations, and teams maximize their workforce experience or their workplace experience. So we focus on leadership development, executive coaching, team coaching, group facilitation, and strategic planning.
Fantastic. And I'm going to put up her web address so that you can see that, and also her Twitter, and the name of her company. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So Daphne, so tell us a little bit about what you were doing before you decided to do your own thing.
So I am a human resources professional by trade. So I have had a 35-year progressive career in the field of human resources, working in all aspects of it. So starting out in the generalist space, and throughout my progressive career, ending with me being a corporate vice president of human resources.
Wow. Okay. So when you were, so how was that for you? Were you satisfied in that? Did that fulfill whatever needed to be fulfilled in you? What did you feel like that was your calling? How long were you in that space?
So my entire professional career was in the space of human resources. So it started with my college internship in the governor's office in Florida, where I actually worked in the governor's office of minority affairs, where we focused on developing students that were coming out of Florida A&M and creating programs for them to segue into state government. So it started while I was in college. Funny enough, I actually had my degree in psychology and thought I wanted to, go into psychology type work. But just midstream, I decided, no, I really want to do something different when I'm still working with people, but working from a different aspect. And so this gave me the opportunity when I was in the governor's office to explore human resources. And I just stayed in that field throughout my entire career.
So you never felt the urge to go into political service or anything like that while you were in the governor's office?
No. So my master's degree is in public administration. And I think at some point I had thought about local government, but it was just a brief passing that if I were to transition, it might have been in the local sector, not so much state or federal. So.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you all. Thank you, Wanda, for joining, and Valerie and Anita. Thank you all, and Cynthia Cook. Thank y'all for logging in, and hello, Miss Jimerson. Thank you, and Angela. Thank you all for being on tonight. So, when you graduated from Bethune-Cookman, is that correct?
Absolutely, Bethune-Cookman College. They were college at the time. Now we're Bethune-Cookman University.
HBCU in the house. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. So when you were studying psychology, when you were studying psychology, what were you going to do with that degree?
I actually thought that I was going to become a clinical psychologist.
Okay.
And working in that space and helping people to maneuver and manage and do life development from a crisis perspective. So that was the reason I studied psychology. But after being exposed to that environment, I said, I think I want to work with healthy people. Yes, I still went into HR, but I felt like that was not the right space for me. And so that's when I shifted gears.
So when you were working in human resources, you were doing your thing, and then what began to shift in your mind or in your thinking or your heart to say, you know what, I think it's time for me to do my own thing?
So, Sonya, my story is a little different than that because I started my professional journey with the end in mind. So in
Okay.
1984, I started with the plan that I did not want to be in traditional work past the age of 50. Right. So
Wow.
I started with the end in mind that I was going to have a traditional job up until the age of 20. So I always, had in the back of my mind, if circumstances fell into place, that 50 was going to be my exit strategy.
Wow. Okay. All
So,
right. So when did you exit to start doing your own thing?
well, so I started preparing at 47. So when I was promoted to vice president was the day that I started writing my exit plan
Wow.
for a number of reasons. Because first of all, I knew that was going to be my last corporate role. Because once you make vice president, I mean, I guess I could have gone on to become a senior vice president or a CHRO, but that was not my direction that I wanted to go in. So when I was promoted, I knew that, first of all, the life expectancy at that level is you serve at the pleasure of the president, so to speak. So in the private sector. And so I knew that I had maybe a 2 to 4 year runway. And so I started preparing in 2009 for my exit in 2011.
Can you talk a little bit about your preparation? I know a lot of people want to do their own thing, but they don't know exactly how to make that happen. I know a lot of people say you got to write your business plan and you got to save money. Tell us what you did to prepare.
So a couple of things. First, I had to do a personal assessment. Not so much to write the business plan, to say what do I want this transition to look like? I knew that I wanted to stay in the human resources space. I know that I didn't want to do traditional human resources, meaning employee relations or comp and benefits or any of the traditional HR roles. And I wanted to work with individuals more on the one-on-one professional and personal development space. So that was the first thing that I had to do, is I had to take a personal inventory to say, what is it that you want to do?
I hope you all are taking notes. This is really key. Number one, she had to take a personal inventory. So take notes, because that she's giving vital information for us, for the ones that want to go into their own business, want to do their own thing. Sometimes we jump out too early. We're not quite ready. So here's some step-by-step processes that we can use. I'm sorry for the interruption. Continue.
It's okay. So at that point, I started to take the personal inventory to say, what would transition look like? What is it that I want to do, so that I would have a clear direction as to where I was going. And then from that personal inventory, then I started ensuring that I had the competencies to transfer over. So to go into the coaching fields, I had to get my certification in order, to be a coach. I wanted to do leadership assessments. So I went and became certified in all of those assessments that I wanted to administer. So just putting in place the competencies while I still had a job that I was going to need in order to make the transition out. I did not make this decision in a vacuum because I am married. And so there had to be a conversation about that transition. So I had to have the conversation with my husband of what that transition was going to look like. And after I did all of that, and then there was the financial aspect of it, in saying that if I am going to branch out financially, then what type of income was I going to need in order to sustain myself, and then prepare for having that income. For me, our company had deferred comp. So you could defer certain portions of your income and your bonuses and set that aside for a future date. And so I did that to ensure that I would have income as I transitioned into owning our own business. So,
okay. Wow. Well,
you want me to keep going?
Yes, I want you to keep going, because that's all part of the personal assessment part.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then fast forward to 2011, when our HR department was actually going through a transformation and moving to a more shared services model. That was the right time for me to then transition out. And so in 2011, I had the conversation with my boss that I was looking to leave. And so that took about 9 months for me to actually exit the organization. And by then, I had engaged with someone to prepare my website, so that the day that I launched, I would already have my website in place, all of my collateral materials. I would already have my business cards. And so we would be a legal entity on the date that I transitioned out. And so doing all of that, I transitioned out, and the business became effective on November the 9th, 2011. And then we became operational, where I actually started working in the business in January of 2012.
So talk a little bit, if you will. I know you're going through the process, but talk a little bit about your emotions that you were dealing with during that time. Was there any fear, any apprehension? Who was what some of your support people telling you, you can do this, you can go forward in this?
So first and foremost, I have to say it had to be my husband, right? Because this wasn't a decision that was just going to impact me. It was a decision that was going to impact us. And so having the agreement that this is what we were going to do for our next. So my husband was a big supporter of the transition. I think my girlfriends, you always have girlfriends that you talk to say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. But I had cheerleaders inside of my organization as well. People that had served in the mentor capacity that I would talk to as I was, preparing my exit strategy, as to the things that I should be, looking out for. In my coaching certification program, we had mentors within that program of people who had already, started their own business. And so having a coach to help me along the way, to kind of process my thinking. I think when you get to the question around fear, I didn't have any fear about stepping out on my own, because I'd already spent first of all, I was going to be turning 50, so that I was already at my end goal. So I didn't have fear around that. And also that I was comfortable that we put everything in place that we could maintain the same lifestyle that I was living, with minimal impact to us as I transitioned into the entrepreneurship role.
How did you advertise your business, and where did you get your customers or your clients from?
So that's a really good question. So I will say that to this day, 85 to 90% of my business is word referral and word of mouth. So as I transitioned into owning my own business, I actually had girlfriends who were there. Whenever I had an event, they were there. And my sister told me, she was like, they must really like you or respect what you're going to do, because they're paying to come and get what they can get from you for free. And so my first customers were people that I had relationships with, who were needed career guidance or career coaching, that hired me on. I went to conferences as well. So I went to the Executive Leadership Conference in Minneapolis. And so my first two clients outside of my network were women that I met at that conference.
Wow.
And simply passed out my business card to them. And then within 6 months, both of them had contacted me and hired me as their coach.
Wow, that's amazing. That's important. It's important. Sometimes you got to do networking, and sometimes that means you got to get out of your comfort zone. So me going to a conference and handing out my business cards, that just makes me nervous. But
I didn't go to the conference and hand out my business card. I went to the conference and I talked to the people at my table, and I shared my business so that they knew what I was doing. So it wasn't a sell, it was a relationship building.
Yeah.
And from that relationship, because like you, I'm not comfortable selling. I'm just not comfortable handing out my business card and saying, hey, call me. But if we can engage in a conversation, then I'll know whether or not I can actually help you with whatever problem you're trying to solve. And then if not me, then I may know someone who can.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Do we have any questions from our audience? We are talking. I'm so excited with Daphne Latimore. If you would, Daphne, tell us again about your services for our people that are sitting in the back who came in late.
So again, we're a human resources firm that specializes in talent development. So I do executive coaching, I do leadership coaching at all levels. So regardless of where you are in the organization, I will put together a coaching program for you to help you to achieve those skills to reach your next level. I do team coaching. I work with teams to ensure that they have the cohesiveness and are working towards a common goal. I do group facilitation. So like if there's a topic, for example, for the last 9 months, I've been facilitating with a major corporation on a conversation on race. And so I've gone in to be their facilitator for that. And then I do strategic planning. So just if it's within that space of group, individual, or organizational development, then our firm works in that space.
Wow. Talk a little bit about, you didn't mention the women's retreat and men's retreat that you have every year that I was honored to be a part of a couple of years ago. That was fantastic. Talk a little bit about that.
So one of the visions that I have, or that I recognize, is that the experience that women have in the workplace and the experience that men have are very different. Mm-hmm. And so for women, I created the Authenticity Professional Women's Retreat to give a space for us to come together to talk about those issues that are pertinent to our development, but from an integrated perspective. So how do we integrate our personal, professional, and public lives? And we're living that right now in the time of COVID, where everything has converged and tried to set priorities. So the Women's Retreat is I bring in women such as yourself to come in and to talk to them about topics that are pertinent to them. Conversely, I do the exact same thing for men, and it's called a Verbosity Professional Men's Summit, which is next week, September 24th. Registration still open, shameless plug. So if you haven't registered, please do so. And so we do the exact same thing for men, because the way that, again, men experience the workplace is very, very different, particularly when there's so much interest around the development of women right now. And so I asked myself the question, if two-thirds of all managers are men, and people are leaving organizations because of their managers, then we certainly should have something in place to develop managers or to develop men, so that they can have a better interaction or better experience in the workplace. So that's the purpose of the Men's Summit, is to help them to navigate in this 21st century workforce.
Wow, wow, wow. Can you talk a little bit about, since you have been doing your own thing, have you seen a major growth or a major need or desire for your service, of people wanting to better themselves or wanting to provide better services to their employees?
So absolutely, the talent development space has always been rich for coaching. So providing coaches within the organization is not new. It's just been at the more senior level. And so what we're seeing is that now there is a recognition that you don't need to develop the leader at that level. You need to start preparing them. And so working inside of organizations and develop, that's certainly there. But more focus now is around the team coaching. And how do you take individuals with different values, with different beliefs, and center them around a common goal? And so that's where I'm seeing the focus shift, particularly in this pandemic environment. It's like we're all working remote right now. We're not in the office. We can't go and just kind of check in with each other. And there's a level of frustration of always being on Zoom. Right?
Yes.
And so really, how do you energize and create an environment where teams can collaborate with each other?
Wow, that's good. That's good. Thank you, Pam, for joining. Hello, my cousin Curtis Smith. Hi, Yolanda. How are you? If you have any questions, hey, Wanda, if you have any questions, I would encourage you to go ahead and type those in. I think we have a couple of comments. Let's see. I have two questions. So it says, you mentioned men and women having different experiences in the workplace. How should a woman entrepreneur price her services competitively?
First, you have to understand the value of what you're offering. And so often, and I experienced this when I first came out, I was like, okay, let me price this based on what I think they can afford. And so I would lowball myself every single time, right? And then through my development and growth and learning, it was like, you need to create competitive packages and be consistent with your pricing. And so if someone comes to you and they can't meet your your prices have a range, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have the range, but start with a competitive price and don't undersell yourself, and know the value of the services that you're providing. Because I really, truly, somebody would come to me, I'd be like, well, I just coach you for free.
That's my
Yeah,
problem.
so, yeah, I can just tell you that really quick, but
Yeah,
that does not bring in
my
revenue.
problem.
Hmm.
I have to be totally transparent in that some people will come and I say, girl, what do you need?
Hmm.
I'll talk to you. I can't charge you. That is the problem. That
But
is one of my,
I had a client tell me, you should not count my pocket. I said, okay.
you shouldn't
So I
count my
stopped.
pocket.
So I
Mm,
stopped counting pockets and I put in competitive price ranges. And I did the research. I went out to say, well, what is someone who is similarly situated offering the same services that I offer? Um, what are they charging? And so you do the market analysis and then you come up with a competitive price. And again, I don't sell by the hour, I sell by the package. And
wow.
so that it's the comprehensive approach. And so that's what we did. That's what I had to learn to do. I had to
You,
learn to stop counting people's pockets.
don't count my pocket.
Hmm.
Wow. I am not going to forget that. Wow. There's another
Hmm.
question. It says, how do you prepare for transition when they don't have, when a person doesn't have time in advance, like they're laid off or their job, it shuts off or they go into bankruptcy or something. How do you prepare then when you don't have
Hmm.
time to plan?
Everyone today, if they take nothing else from this conversation, should go out and write their exit strategy,
Wow.
because you never know what's going to happen. And so you won't find yourself thrust in unemployment without a plan, because you've taken the time now to slow down and write that exit strategy, to be thoughtful, to know where you stand financially, to know what your next would look like, what would be that ideal job that you're going into, so that if you find yourself in a layoff situation, then you're more focused and structured in trying to find your next job. So if you don't have an exit strategy, you should have one now. One of the things my husband used to say, I said, well, what's the plan if you get laid off? And he's like, to get another job. Well, that's an exit strategy,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what because some people will say, well, if I lose my job, I'm going to start my own business. Or if I lose my job, I'm going to go crazy, right? Whatever that strategy is, you have to know and plan for it now. When we first started out in the military, they used to tell us you need to have 6 months of savings set aside for any emergency that comes up. Well, statistics show that most Americans have trouble getting a hold of $400 right now,
Yeah.
right? So that's where we are. But if you start preparing for, if I lose my job, what would I do? Then it won't be as difficult, right? Write the
Wow.
resume. Write the resume now, as opposed to waiting until the end.
That is amazing. Plan
Mhm.
your exit strategy now. And
Mhm.
you know what? I haven't even thought about that. I thought about, I would just be working at the school system doing my transition thing on the side. But no, I need to plan my exit strategy because anything can happen. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, uh,
Mhm.
anything, even in the school
Mhm.
system, anything could happen. Wow,
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
amazing information. So, where would you say, where are you now as it relates to your business? Are you planning to add any additional services or go into another direction as it relates to your business?
So if you have a business, you also have to have an exit strategy for that business of when you're going to leave it. And so where we are right now in the business is, as I approach 60, to start focusing in on where I want to ramp up, where I need additional resources to support the business, so that as I turn 65, then I am not the sole product of the business.
Wow.
And so then I can run the business versus being in the business. And
Hmm.
then by the time I reach 70, then I'm overseeing the business. So I actually have milestones with
Wow.
regards to how we transition the business.
So you really have already started working on you have goals already set for your
Mm-hmm.
next place. Wow, that's
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
good information. Y'all, I hope you all are listening. Yolanda, are you listening? Yolanda is a major entrepreneur. She is working hard to be independent. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad she's on tonight. I know that Pam is working hard as well. So I'm glad that they're on tonight and getting this information. It is being recorded, so we will have it on Facebook if anybody wants to come back and listen to it. I want to remind us that something that she said, she sets milestones, goals. She
Mm-hmm.
before she left to go out to leave her job, she did a self-assessment. And she was honest with herself, where she was and where she was mentally, where she was financially. And she talked to her spouse. She didn't just decide,
Mm-hmm.
I'll quit my job and I'm just going to the house without talking to her spouse.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a plan. And but then on the other flip side of that, she went into it knowing that she wanted to own her own business. She was not going to be working for forever. So you went into it knowing that you were going to have your own business one day. It was a fact for you. I think that's amazing. And sometimes even when we have children or parents. I remember my parents talking about how it's important to get a good job. They didn't talk about
Mm-hmm.
it was important for you to own your own business. They talked about how it was important for you to get a good job with some good benefits. That
Mm-hmm.
was once you had that, man, you had it made. And especially if you got a good government job, you had it made. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't in my family, they didn't talk
Mm-hmm.
about entrepreneurship at all. So when I started seeing people doing their own thing, I was kind of a little nervous. And even now, I'm a little leery about people who um, who are counselors, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when things get tight and you have your own shingle out, you have your own, you're
Mm-hmm.
doing your own business. Sometimes what you're offering sometimes is the first one to go.
Well,
Like,
absolutely.
go ahead.
That's really important that you said that because it's not all roses, right?
Yeah,
There
yeah,
are
yeah,
ebbs
yeah,
and flows. There are ebbs and flows in business, and you have to be able to weather the storms. And there are
yeah,
going to be some months where it's just dry. It's like there's no new clients coming in. What am I going to do? And how do I weather the storm? And so, because you have that plan, you'll know how to manage during the ebbs and the flows. And so, it may be that you're not doing the one on one coaching or counseling. It may be that you're offering services where people can do self help online,
hmm
and you create a package of a self study program for people. So, diversification of the products that you
hmm
have so that
hmm
you can ensure that you still have, um, you know, a sense of revenue coming in the midst of those ebbs and flows. So it's really
yeah,
important that you recognize that it's not always comfortable. Some people it just may always be that way, but from a services perspective,
yeah, yeah,
there are those periods where you may not have any new clients coming in, and so you have to be prepared to weather those storms. And the
yeah.
other thing about our parents telling us to get a good job and having benefits is that when you transition out, then you no longer have that security
Yeah.
of healthcare benefits. And so it's important when you're doing that assessment of what your needs are going to be to say, well, what type of benefits am I going to need? And how do I get some
Mhm.
services? Because you could buy
Yeah. Yeah.
your own dental now for very cheap. You can buy your own vision plan,
Right.
and you can go into some of the healthcare plans, but that's expensive. And so,
Yeah.
how do you make sure that you're calculating those into your expenses? That'll help you to determine what the revenue cost is that you need.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
because you lose
Wow.
all that when you walk out,
Yes.
unless you have a spouse who is working, who
Yes.
has the benefits to offset that. You
Yes.
know. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hello, Natasha Aston. We're glad that you're here. She said,
that's my
"Great job."
niece.
Oh, she said,
That's
"Well,
my
great
niece.
job, Daphne." Of course, you would say that by
That's
your
my
auntie.
network.
Hey, Jared, how are you? Thank you for joining us today. So there's a question on the floor that says, do you plan for your business to live beyond your lifetime?
So it's really interesting as to determine whether or not it's a legacy business, right? So my business right now, it's me. I'm the product of services. I bring people in. It's my name. It's Stevie Latimore, and my husband is co-owner of the business. So I do want to point out that we're an LLC, and so he is my partner in the business. Do I plan for it to live beyond me? I've given that a lot of thought recently, and I think that there are certain aspects of it that could continue. But if I set it up properly, if I follow the right timeline, it will be that other people can come in and work in the business. And so if for some reason I'm not here, then the decision would be up to my husband as to whether or not he wants to still run that business, because it's no longer focused on me as the product. Right? So it could. My daughter could say, well, I'm going to take it over and merge my business with hers, because she has her own business, and and continue to live under her umbrella. But I think right now it's I'm not planning so much to say that it's going to dissolve if I'm not there, but more of, is it sustainable if I'm not there?
Yeah. One thing I failed to ask, or we talked about it, and it's just left my mind. When you were preparing to leave, I think we talked about it, but I just want to revisit it. Did you have a certain amount of money set aside for your business, for the time while you waited until you got clients, or so much saved just in case?
So that's a yes or no. Oh, what hell? Excuse me. Just to be transparent. Because I deferred my income for so many years, I will continue to have income from my last employer until I turn 69 years old. So that's not 401k. That's not anything like that. That's just so every month, I get the money that I worked for 10 years ago. And it's called deferred compensation. That's one source of income. The other thing that I did was I also am an adjunct coach for Lee Heck Harrison, which is a firm that does transition services. And so I am on their bench. And so that's a steady stream of clients that come into the business. And so I put together multiple streams of income to help us to be able to sustain.
That's good. Multiple streams of income. And that's vital nowadays. When we think about the people now that are without jobs, or even think about people that are struggling, multiple streams of income would help out a whole lot right about now. And I think it's just so vital that if you can have more than one income, it can't hurt. And there are so many things, there are so many needs, even in the midst of COVID, people still have needs. People are still going to buy for services that they need. But what you have to do is you have to tap in to see what is needed. And that may require a needs assessment on your part. You may have to do the research to see at this juncture what's needed in my community, or what's needed at my school, or whatever your thing is, and create not an appetite, create a I can't think of the word, but something to fulfill that need. I think what you have done is you found a niche, you found a need, and you are fulfilling those needs of those people, because you don't even advertise, and you still have a stream of people coming to you for services.
Well, I do advertise. So I have my website, dvlatimore.com, that has all of the services on it. I write every 4 to 6 weeks. I put out a newsletter that talks about my products or services. And when I'm running specials, such as the men's retreat, then we advertise heavily on the social media networks. And my products are on my page. So you can go to the page, and then you're able to see. I don't do heavy marketing advertising, so I'm not spending advertising dollars about the business, but I am advertising through my website, through my newsletters that I put out, and using social media outlets.
Right.
But there's a
But
reason for that. I haven't yet decided that I want to venture out, because then it's about capacity. And
yeah,
what do you have the capacity to take in?
yeah.
So we take in new clients, particularly around the October, time frame is when we start building our pipeline for the next year.
And how long do you generally keep a client?
It depends. And so most of my clients, I ask them to at least commit to 90 days, right? But a true coaching engagement where you're going to see change is a 6-month program. But
Wow.
if at 90 days you're not willing to really invest and do the work, then I don't want you to have invested in that 6-month program when I'm going to be the right coach for you.
Right. Wow. That's good. And during that 90 days, you have already set up a program for them to engage in. Is that correct? You have a 90-day program?
So we set up their program together, because each coaching engagement is individual and unique to the individual. So we sit down. What are your goals? What are the areas that you want to focus on? If it's effective communication, is it building relationships? Is it project management? Whatever those skills are that you want to focus on, then we put together the coaching plan.
Wow. Okay.
It may be presence. I want to work on my presence. I've had a number of clients that say, they can read everything on my face. And I was like, I know I'm reading it too, right? And so, how do I show up? When I'm in meetings, how do I not let my face say what I'm really thinking? And so we work with them on, effective communication, their verbal, their visuals, their nonverbals, and things like that. So it just depends on what it is. It might be conflict management. And so we work with them on, conflict resolution skills. But every program is unique.
Okay. Cool. Okay. You mentioned earlier a little bit about group coaching being on the rise, as well as capacity. Do you prefer one-on-one or group, and why?
Another loaded question. And I prefer, I guess if I had to say which one do I prefer, then it would be the one-on-one coaching. When I look at the capacity and what I'm capable to deliver, it would be group coaching, because then you're working with similarly situated people who have common goals that can benefit from peer coaching. Right. So I like both of them. I like the one-to-many model, but I actually enjoy working one-on-one with my clients. Right.
Yeah.
So I'll always have the hybrid approach.
Wow. So we have a comment from Patricia Harper. Do you know her?
Patricia. I do. That's my mother.
That's your mother?
That's Courtney's mother-in-law. Yes.
Courtney. Okay. Thank you for joining us. She says, Daphne, thank you for your professional guidance doing the uncharted space as an entrepreneur and in examining the steps for longevity of a business. You've done a phenomenal job of explaining and dropping nuggets of knowledge, which is also a part of your legacy. Thank you.
That is a great compliment coming from another businesswoman, right?
Okay.
So thank you very much for that comment.
Thank you so much for joining, Patricia. We're glad to have you. While we're we have a small break, I want to tell you that next week we're going to be talking to Pastor Kimberly Jones, and we're going to be talking about when your next is not known. You need to get out. You need to do something. You know that you've been called to entrepreneurship, but you don't quite know what it is that you need to do. So she is going to join us next week. And she's going to talk a little bit about, how do you find your next? What do you do? So we're excited about her joining next week. So Dale, thank you for joining us tonight. Make sure you put in your questions, you all. We're getting ready to wrap up. So we need to go ahead and take your questions if you have any. Daphne, if you would, go ahead and advertise for your men's retreat and the women's retreat for next year.
Okay. Wait. First, let me advertise. Based on the conversation that we have today, we
Okay.
do have a program called Building Bridges,
Okay.
creating your agile exit strategy. So we are going to open that program from October. It's going to be a 6-week program from October the 6th through 6 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the exact dates in front of me, but it is the Building Bridges program, and
Mm-hmm.
it's focused on creating your exit strategy. And the techniques that I just shared in this program are all the work. It's work. I'm going to tell you, it is a lot of work, but that's the work that we're going to do in that program. So we do have that that's coming up. The Veracity Professional Men's Retreat is, again, it's a space that's designed for men to learn those soft skills, because men are technically astute. And they're very good at their job and they know how to do their job. But it's those leadership capabilities that help them to grow and to be able to have those successful interactions in the workplace. So we've got a stellar lineup. We're going to do it in a hybrid approach this year because of COVID. So we will be live streaming so that our participants can watch it on YouTube, as well as interact with us using the app. And I think you saw us do that this year with the authenticity. So there'll be an act. We priced it so that people can participate. So it's only $100 to participate live stream. It's going to be all day. We've got some phenomenal speakers that are coming in. And again, our topics are specifically designed to help men to be better presenters, communicators. We're going to talk about emotional intelligence and building character strength. We're going to talk about moving from mediocre to maximum. So if you're just surfing on your job and you really want to ramp it up, then we're also going to talk about moving from mediocre to maximum. And then lastly, the Authenticity Professional Women's Retreat that you've had the privilege and opportunity for me to have you there is offered in the summer of every year. And again, that space is designed to really work with women on building and growing in an integrated lifestyle.
Wow. Thank you.
And that's in July. I just don't have the dates in front of me.
I know it's the weekend before I go back to school.
Always the weekend before you go back to school.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for being a part of us tonight. Again, I want to put Daphne's information up again. If you go ahead, and I'm going to put her information up again, but I want you to go ahead, if you have any questions, to go ahead and make sure you go ahead and send your questions in before we log off. That's her email. Her webpage. This is her Twitter account. Please go ahead and connect with her. Check out her page and go ahead and like and see what she's doing over there. I think you would be well pleased. I think it would do you well to do that. Any other questions? Do we have any questions, ladies and gentlemen? I have one question. Let's see. There's a lot of competition among women in business, particularly women of color. What advice do you have to minimize that?
No one person can service everybody. So there's no real reason for us to be competing with each other, because if I'm not the right coach for you, I may know 3 other people that might be a fit for you. And so we can't corner the market, because if the goal is to really help people to thrive and to grow, or whatever your business mission is, then be open to also helping someone else to grow their business. There is no reason for competition, because I believe very firmly that sometimes it's just not going to be a fit, right? And so I may not be the right person for you, but if I want you to be successful, then I need to refer you to someone else. So God's world is huge, right? No way one person, one business can service everybody. So
that's correct. And you know what? I think when you're looking at a coach, it's almost like selecting a therapist. You got to do some interviewing. You got to see if you connect. I tell my people, when you are looking for a therapist, when it's like when the doctor was trying to find the right blood pressure medication for me, I had to try 2 or 3. Really, I think I tried 4. The 4th one worked. So we had to try different ones. So I couldn't give up on the process. because it would have been a detriment to me. So we had to work the process till we found the one that was right for us. And it's the same thing when you're dealing with coaching. When you go to coach, they're interviewing you and you're interviewing them because it may not be a good fit. And if it's not a good fit, it's nothing wrong with referring them. You know what? I know somebody else that you all may gel a little better. Let me give you that person's telephone number. Let me give you that person's contact information. And to me, that's what it's all about. My thing is to see people healthy and whole. And that's in every area of your life, to be healthy and whole. And so if I can't meet your need, let me find someone that can help you. Natasha wants to know, when are you returning to Florida?
We are in a global pandemic, right? So I don't know. But soon. That's just a visit.
Oh, not permanently.
No.
Okay. All right. I think this is our last, that was our last question. I would encourage you not to give up on the process. I would encourage you, your clock is just singing.
I can't do nothing about it. Y'all just gonna have to listen to the clock for a second.
I know. It doesn't sing at night, does it?
Up until 10 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
You know that.
I know, but I don't remember hearing it at night. But anyway, it's cool. Thank you so much. Give us some final words. Give us some final wisdom, some final direction before we log off.
I think the final words are: start working on your exit strategy now, so that if you find yourself in a layoff position, a furlough position, or if you're just thinking about transitioning, at least have your blueprint ready. Join the Building Bridges program. But even if you don't join the Building Bridges program, start today and doing that inventory, determining what it is that you need and what you'd like your transition to look like, because that's your power and that's going to give you the control to have a successful transition.
Wow, that is fantastic. Now, if they want to reach out to you, how can they reach you?
The best way to reach me is to, what's the best way to reach me? So they can reach me on Facebook. They can connect with me on Facebook. But the best way to reach me, if they want to send me an email, is to send an email to daphne.latimore@dblatimore.com. And you can do that through my website. So there's a contact page on my website where you can go in and reach out to me, or you can call 703-260-8516. 703-260-8516.
You know, I'm trying to type this so I can put it up.
Don't hesitate to reach out to me. There is nothing wrong with having a conversation. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with just saying, hey, let me just talk through this so that I can determine what's the next step for me. So we do consultations all the time.
Okay. All right. And how much are your consultations?
30 minutes. There's free. No cost for a consultation.
All right. There you go. Well, thank you so much.
Sonya, thank you for having me. That hour did go by fast.
Yeah, I told you. My PR person is telling me something, but I could not hear with this eye right here. Say what you said again. Oh, I need to thank Courtney. Oh, Courtney, thank you for joining us.
Hey,
Bella. And there are some other people that joined.
Oh, Sonya, she wants you to say hello to Brianne. Brianne is my granddaughter.
Hey, Brianne, how are you? Oh, I miss you. Oh, you know what? When I was there the first time, she just came to me and she was so sweet. But I thought her name was Brianna.
Brianne.
Girl, I've been calling the baby the wrong name.
It's okay.
Wow. Tell her I say hello and kisses to her. Wow. Oh, hey, Brianne. How are you? They told me that you're watching, so I can speak to you directly. All right, Daphne. This is my third closing, as the preachers would say. I want to say thank you so much for
Mhm.
your information. Thank you so much for spending time with us. I don't take it lightly. You are a heavy hitter, and I'm just honored that you would come tonight and share from your expertise and from your experiences. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sonia. And you keep doing what you're doing because this is important work that you're doing. And so I love the platform. So thank you so much for having me on.
All right. Tell Mr. Ernest I say hello.
I will tell him.
All right. All right.
All
Talk to
right.
you
Take
soon.
care.
Okay. Bye
Thank
bye.
you all. Bye bye.